Um, it's a new day, and I haven't recorded anything recently. Um, so I wanted to do this live today. Um, Over the weekend, the news of Aretha Franklin's sons going to court to fight over her will really struck me. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit more today with you all. So, for those who don't know Aretha Franklin, I mean, if you don't know Aretha Franklin, where have you been? Even those hidden under the rocks know who Aretha Franklin is. R-A-S-P-C-T. What did that mean to me? All of that. That's her, the queen of soul, the woman who could sing power into your heart. She could make you feel incredibly important by just listening to her. All of her songs were so empowering, so soul bearing, and I've loved her since I was a little girl, and I've really enjoyed her music. She's sold over 75 million, according to Wikipedia. So she's done a lot for music in the world, and she's one of the most revered singers and pianist and songwriter. So she was quite a woman. So to hear her sons fighting over her will really struck me because this is a topic I believe in the Black community that we really need to address more. We need to talk about the impact of not having a plan in place for when we pass. The truth of the matter is, I know this is going to be shocking to a lot of people who think they're immortals, but we all will pass one day. We all will say goodbye to this world of ours, and we'll leave behind whatever things we've worked hard to accumulate over the years. Whatever it is, this is not even about how rich you are or how poor you are. I think the question here is putting your life in order, having a plan in place for when you're gone, so that those who will pick up the pieces of whatever is left when you're gone will not have to worry, will not have to fight over whatever it is you leave behind. Over the years, I have spoken about this with my family, with friends even, because I think we should not treat talking about wills and administration of estate, just who will take care of your things when you're gone. All of those things, we shouldn't consider them a taboo subject. I know a lot of people don't like to feel like their death is imminent, or talking about death can seem quite impolite to some people. But I'd rather be impolite in the present than be regretful in the future. And one thing that death does to a lot of family, it brings out the true intents of people. All those people you've considered brothers and sisters, uncles and aunties, cousins, especially in the Black community. When someone important dies and that person had lots of things they left behind, that's when you start seeing the true colors of those family members. And the truth of the matter is, the true colors will always come out. But what matters is if there is a will in place, the true colors will not matter anyway. Because there's a will in place, you will have whomever is the executor of the will, whomever is responsible for administering the will or the estate of the person deceased, will have the authority then to conduct the matters and to say, this is what the person wanted and this is what we're going to do. But when there's no will in place, or when there's nothing to help direct the people who have to face the fact that their loved one has passed away, and then to have to scramble together resources to sort out the burial, and then to think about, oh, they left things behind. How are we going to manage this? It is confusing, it is overwhelming. It is hard for a lot of people to come to terms with losing their loved ones, not to talk about having to manage their affairs. I have seen a lot of families completely crumble after a parent had passed because there was no will. I have seen a lot of families struggle to keep things together to survive financially because there was no will in place. You hear about uncles and aunties coming from the village from far away asking for their share in the properties. Not these uncles and aunties don't even know what properties are there, but they're coming for their share nonetheless. To avoid all of these surprises and all of these really unfortunate events ever occurring, I have always talked about having a will. Now, in the case of Aretha Franklin, she had notes. She had written a lot of her thoughts on how she wanted things to be shared or divided amongst her four sons on paper. And apparently, there was one dated 2010 and a new one dated 2014. So the brothers had initially said, one of the brothers initially said that they should divide the estate equally amongst the four of them. But because of the new arrival of the 2014 will that was found in the couch, I know a lot of people, a lot of elderly people put things in the couch and they forget them. And unfortunately, that has been a practice I mean, in the Black community, quite, it is quite um, it is quite recurrent for old people to do that, to leave things in the couch. So I'm not surprised that they would find something as important as a will or even a letter in the couch. And so the dispute now amongst the son is whether the 2010 will is to stand or the 2014 will. My question is, I understand that between 2010 and 2014, there must have been changes in the will. And of course, there will be changes. But why go to the court to fight over that? As brothers, you should all be able to sit down and reason together and say, okay, this is what mommy wrote in 2014, and this is what mom wrote in 2010. But there should be similarities between the two, and anything that is different, as brothers, they should be able to sit together, reason together, and sort it out. But apparently, it couldn't do that. And I'm talking about men, adult men who should have worked hard for themselves and have things going for themselves so that they don't have the time and the energy to be fighting over their mother's will, no matter how rich their mother was. And that's the fact. Even the most reasonable person before death can turn unreasonable after death of a loved ones. And the way the family is portrayed as divided, it just, for me, it's a slight to the memory of this great um, artist, this great singer, Aretha Franklin. And I wish the sons had done this privately, but it has come to the fore now. It's a public matter. But I want us to use this as a learning point for us in the Black community. I'm talking specifically for the Black community, and because it is important that we understand the importance of planning. Planning, it will save us time, energy, and will enable people to stay united. There's nothing as terrible as families breaking apart when it's supposed to be an opportunity for people to come together, to heal, to put their pettiness aside or their whatever differences they ever had, to celebrate the memory of someone they loved, to have that in common and to remember it for as long as they can. But to see all of this playing out in public, it's really saddening to me. So, what can we take out of this? Well, to write a will, you don't need to go to a lawyer to write a will. You can have a paper and a pen and write down what you want with dated and signed can constitute a will. The advantage of having a lawyer is that the lawyer will keep a copy of it, an original copy, so that no one can tamper or interfere with what you've written. Because you never know what people are capable of doing. And people will do anything. I mean, anything when it comes to money. And another lesson is Preparation means that no one is taken by surprise. If the sons knew Aretha Franklin had one certified will, that will bind everybody. They will all have to abide by that will. But because there are bits and bobs of papers here and there, notes found on the couch, another one here, another one there, it causes confusion and contention. And nothing destroys a family as well as contention. Any single thing can ignite old feud, past grievances, and create chaos, even in the most united family. So that's lesson number two. Lesson number three, let us normalize talking about wills. Let us normalize talking about death. We all are going to die someday. So, sharing our thoughts with our loved ones, gathering, if Aretha Franklin gathered her sons and said, "This is what I want." This, I heard that she planned her burial, that she knew in details what she wanted, how she wanted to be dressed, who she wanted to invite. Well, that goes to show that she was a thoughtful woman who wanted things done in a certain way. And I also believe that that thoughtfulness was also put on paper in those wills that she wrote. But what could have been better is if she gathered her son and said, "This is what I want, my son, and this is the will that I've written, and I have put it together and given it to this lawyer. So when I pass, this lawyer will administer my estate." How wonderful would that have been? How organized. So the sons don't have to worry about those things. So the sons know to focus on the memory of their mother and celebrating her for as long as they can. These are my thoughts on this. To see such a great woman and her story um, being paraded on the media and being talked about so in such a mocking and sometimes disrespectful way, I don't like it. And I wish it never happened. These are the stories that I hear often, a lot of, especially in the Black community, of really popular artists, rich artists dying, and then their families having to fight, just like Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston's family also fought over her estate. Michael Jackson family also had this dispute over her estate. I wish there wasn't, although he did write a will. Michael Jackson did put his mother in charge over a lot of his properties. So, in that sense, it did alleviate whatever tension or contention there could have been. So these are my thoughts on Aretha Franklin, and my take on it is that we should work really hard to be organized, to not leave behind any chaos for our families. It's not fair that they have to scramble or they have to quarrel just to sort out whatever it was on our mind. We had plenty of time. We have plenty of time now to write down whatever it is we want to write for our children to know. It could be in our journal. We could leave it with a lawyer. If you feel like you don't want to go out to the extent of a lawyer, save it in an email. Whatever you're going to do it so that at least all of your family members are aware that this is what I want, this is where I put it, and I want you all to respect my wishes. Of course, there'll always be exceptions. There'll always be people after death who would want to show their true colors and act out of character. But in the majority of cases, when there's a will, things go on smoothly. And on that note, I just wish for change. I wish for more of us to change this generational chaos and to adopt new ways of thinking. Our mindset should transform the way how we pass on whatever it is we have to the next generation. We shouldn't pass on our trauma, we shouldn't pass on our confusion. And I think after all Aretha Franklin has done, her stance as an activist, uh, her outspokenness, her ability to command the crowd, her impact in the world, it will be very unfortunate that this puts a dent in all of that. And I don't think it will, though. I think eventually things will be sorted out in court And I just hope the families can come together, the brothers can come together and united again and see reason and love each other like the mother would have wanted. And that's it for me. I hope you all will also reflect and really think and ask yourself what haven't I done yet to make sure that if I pass today, that my kids will be safe, that my family will be taken care of. And these are things that we all should think about. And now is the best time to think about it. Until next time, I wish you all a lovely day. And please do not forget to subscribe, like, and share. It's been a pleasure to share this thought with you all. And leave in the comments what you think. Should Aretha Franklin have done more? Did she do enough? What about her sons? Should they be doing this privately instead of publicly? And what do you think the Black community should do better now that we are faced with this somewhat epidemic of artists dying and not leaving anything behind other than bits and bobs of instructions? Let me know your thoughts. Until next time, I'll see you guys. Ta!